Gene Deal, a longtime associate of a prominent hip-hop mogul, found himself entangled in a web of secrets and betrayals. Jaguar Wright, a fierce singer with a reputation for speaking her mind, had been voicing her concerns about the darker side of the industry, drawing attention and ire from powerful figures. Rumors swirled around Diddy, the mogul in question, as whispers of a potential hit on both Gene and Jaguar circulated through the underground. The air crackled with anticipation and fear, each person in the know wondering how far Diddy would go to silence those who threatened his empire. One evening, Gene met Jaguar at a dimly lit cafe, their usual spot for sharing industry gossip and plotting their next moves. The atmosphere was tense as they discussed recent events. Jaguar leaned in, her voice low but firm. "We need to be careful, Gene. There are too many people watching us." Gene nodded, feeling the weight of her words. "I've heard things. Diddy isn't one to let threats go unanswered. We have to stay sharp." As the night wore on, they hatched a plan. Instead of retreating into the shadows, they would expose the truth. Jaguar's voice could reach millions, and Gene's connections in the industry could amplify their message. They decided to hold a press conference, a bold move that could either solidify their stance or seal their fate. The day of the conference arrived, and the room was packed with reporters and fans alike, eager for the latest scoop. Jaguar stood at the podium, her presence commanding. She spoke passionately about integrity in the music industry, calling out the manipulations and the facade that many were too scared to challenge. Gene stood beside her, supporting her words with facts and anecdotes that painted a vivid picture of the struggles behind the scenes. As they wrapped up, a buzz of excitement filled the air. But behind the scenes, Diddy was watching closely, his expression darkening. He felt the walls closing in as the narrative began to shift. In the days that followed, Gene and Jaguar received anonymous threats, intimidation tactics meant to silence them. But instead of cowering in fear, they doubled down. They enlisted the help of a documentary filmmaker who had been chronicling the darker sides of the industry. Together, they created a gripping exposé, revealing not just their own experiences but also shining a light on the systemic issues that plagued the industry. As the documentary aired, the response was electric. Fans rallied behind them, and the pressure mounted on Diddy. His empire, built on the foundation of silence and fear, began to crack. Public sentiment shifted, and suddenly, he found himself on the defensive. In the end, Gene and Jaguar's bravery not only protected them but also inspired others to speak out. The music industry began to change, slowly but surely, as more artists came forward to share their stories. Diddy's reign, once seemingly unshakable, faced an uncertain future. And as Gene and Jaguar stood together, they realized they had not just survived, they had ignited a movement that would reverberate through the industry for years to come. As Gene and Jaguar basked in the aftermath of their documentary's success, they knew the battle was far from over. The music industry, with its intricate power dynamics and unspoken rules, was a landscape where alliances could shift overnight. In the weeks that followed, Gene leveraged his extensive network, reaching out to artists, producers, and executives who had been marginalized or silenced. They formed an informal coalition, united by the common goal of fostering transparency and accountability within the industry. Jaguar, meanwhile, continued to use her platform, her fiery rhetoric capturing the attention of mainstream media and activists alike. The coalition organized a series of town hall meetings, inviting industry insiders and fans to discuss the systemic issues at play. Topics ranged from financial exploitation to mental health struggles among artists, illuminating the darker corners that had long been ignored. The public began to demand change, and pressure mounted on established figures to re-evaluate their practices. Amid this upheaval, Diddy plotted his next move. He convened a private meeting with his inner circle, a group comprised of influential artists and executives. They discussed strategies to regain control of the narrative and to undermine the growing movement that threatened to unravel everything Diddy had built. His initial instincts were to retaliate, silence those who dared to challenge him. But a part of him recognized that the landscape had shifted. Outright aggression could provoke a backlash that he might not survive. As the town halls gained traction, Jaguar invited seasoned industry veterans to share their stories. Many had faced similar struggles, but few had the platform to voice their experiences. A powerful moment occurred when a well-known producer, once a close collaborator of Diddy, spoke candidly about the toxic environment fostered by fear and manipulation. His testimony resonated deeply, further galvanizing support for the coalition. With each meeting, the movement expanded, drawing attention from organizations advocating for artists' rights. Social media exploded with hashtags calling for change, and Gene and Jaguar found themselves at the forefront of a cultural shift. They collaborated with legal experts to draft a set of guidelines aimed at protecting artists, promoting fairness in contracts, and advocating for mental health resources. However, Diddy was not idle. He strategically engaged with the media, framing the conversation around the need for loyalty and tradition in hip-hop. His influence still loomed large, but the tide was turning. The younger generation of artists began to express their support for Gene and Jaguar, signaling a willingness to redefine industry norms. As tensions escalated, Gene received a call from a mutual acquaintance, a producer who had witnessed firsthand Diddy's ruthless tactics. The producer, worried for Gene's safety, urged him to take precautions. Recognizing the seriousness of the situation, Gene and Jaguar decided to heighten their security measures, enlisting a reputable team to monitor their surroundings. The climax approached as Diddy announced a highly publicized event, a showcase of his latest artists. It was an opportunity for him to reassert his dominance. In a bold move, Jaguar and Gene decided to attend, determined to confront Diddy directly. They saw it as an opportunity to turn the tables and expose the facade he maintained. The night of the showcase, the venue buzzed with anticipation. As Diddy took the stage, the crowd erupted in cheers, but Gene and Jaguar were prepared. They coordinated with journalists to ensure their presence was known and that their story would be told, no matter the outcome. As Diddy began to speak, Jaguar interjected, her voice clear and unwavering. "You can't silence us anymore, Diddy. This industry is changing, and we're leading that change." The audience fell silent, eyes shifting between the two figures. A tense exchange unfolded, the confrontation embodying the larger struggle between power and truth. Gene stepped forward, echoing Jaguar's sentiments, reinforcing the need for accountability in an industry rife with secrets. The moment reverberated throughout the room, and the crowd began to react. Supporters rallied around Jaguar and Gene, chanting for transparency and reform. Diddy's expression flickered, uncertainty creeping in as he realized the momentum had shifted irreversibly. As the evening drew to a close, it became clear that Gene and Jaguar were not just surviving, they were thriving, reshaping the narrative of an industry long dominated by fear. The fight for integrity in music had only just begun, but with each bold step forward, they knew they were on the right path, inspiring others to join their cause. The echoes of their courage would resonate far beyond that night, creating a legacy of change in the music industry for years to come.